call this regular meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. 6:34 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by me. Please stand. Mei Ling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Barentes,
Here.
Commissioner Cabot,
Here.
Commissioner Duong,
Present.
Vice Chair Share,
Present.
Vice Chair Horta, absent.
Approval of the agenda order. Are there any objections to the agenda order?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we change July's meeting. That's canceled because it's too close to July 4th, and we have our next meeting on August. What's the date for August?
It would be August 7th.
August 7th.
And then would you also like to make a motion to move the commission reorg to that August meeting as well?
What a good idea.
Okay, excellent.
In addition to that motion, I will add that that's when we do the reorganization for the commission.
Do I have any second?
Second.
Okay. Mei Ling, please take the vote.
And then, so the motion was made by Commissioner Cabot and a second by Commissioner Duong. My apologies. Are we pronouncing your name correctly?
Nancy Dong,
Dong, okay. We're pronouncing the letter. My apologies.
Commissioner Barentes,
Yes.
Well, no.
Commissioner Cabot,
Aye.
Commissioner Dong, yes. Vice Chair Share,
Aye.
motion passed by a vote of 4 ayes, 0 nays, and 0 abstention, and 1 absent.
We will now have a few announcements by Community Service Manager Matthew Morales Stevens.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on cable channel 3 and our online platforms. If you wish to address the Community Services Commission during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk, Mei Ling Sui. When speaking, please state your name for the record. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive Community Services Commission agendas, please email your request to cscommission@sgch.org.
This is a time set aside for members of the public to address the Community Service Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Community Service Commission cannot answer any questions or take any action until such time as a matter may appear as an add-on on a future agenda. Mei Ling, do we have any public comments for tonight's meeting?
We do not.
Okay. Approval of the minutes. The minutes are a record of the official actions taken at the Community Service Commission meeting on April 3rd, 2023. Adrian and Matthew, do we have any public comment on the action item?
We do not.
The time for public comment on this item is now closed. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Community Service Commission regular meeting of April 3rd, 2023?
I so move.
At this time, I'll ask that the commission pushes this one as well to the next meeting, since Commissioner Huerta, or Chair Huerta, is not here, and then with our 2 new commissioners weren't present at that meeting.
Right, we don't have a quorum here.
So if we could just have a motion to push this as well. A motion to
Approve these minutes.
approve the minutes at the next meeting, correct. Thank you.
I move that we approve the minutes for the May meeting, or April meeting, to the August meeting. Is that right?
And do I have a second?
Second.
Do we need to count the votes? Or- Okay, Mei-Ling, please take the vote.
Commissioner Barrentes,
Yes.
Commissioner Cabot,
Aye.
Commissioner Dong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Share.
Aye.
Motion passed by a vote of 4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstention, and 1 absent.
Discussion items. Introduction of Jackie so sorry, maybe I pronounced it wrong. Okay, let me do it again. Introduction of Jackie Velasco. Staff will introduce Jackie Velasco, recreation specialist.
Excellent. So it's my privilege to introduce Jackie Villalvaso. She is our recreation specialist with the Community Services Department. She's only been with us for a few months, but she's already proven that she can take anything that's thrown her way. She's currently tasked with the contract classes as well as our senior programs, and then we're throwing her into our Jefferson Sports Academy this summer. So we currently have 2 vacancies in our department. So we're very fortunate that she came with a very large tool belt and an arsenal of things that she can do and that she can take on. So she's taking that willingly, and we're very grateful. Just a little background on her. She's been in the field for a little over 10 years as a volunteer and a recreation leader. And she's recently graduated from Cal Poly Pomona with a bachelor's in sociology. On a personal note, she likes to spend her free time reading or spending time with family and friends. I'd like to call up Jackie to say a few words.
Good evening, members of the commission. I'm very excited to work with the city of San Gabriel and just to improve our community as a whole. And yeah, thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you. Matthew, do we have any public comments on the action item?
We do not.
Okay, the time for public comment on this item is now closed. I just want to say welcome, Jackie, and I really see you visible at all those city events. I see you there all the time, and I like your positive energy, and then looking forward to work with you in the future. Welcome again.
I would like to welcome you as well, Jackie. I've already seen how your work is very positive for our commission and for the city, and you're dynamite, so I'm glad you're here.
Move on to this item C, discussion of the 2023 annual work plan. Commission members to continue working on the approved 2023 annual work plan. Matthew, do we have any public comments on the action item?
We do not.
The time for public comment on this item is now closed. Since we have 2 new commissioners on the board, I just wanted to explain this really quick. This is a plan that the previous commissioners and us, we worked on last year, that we're planned to work in this year. And it was divided, as you can see, there are 5 different sections. Section 1, item A and B were taken on by Chair Horta, and then item C taken by me, and the second action was taken by Chair Horta. And the third section is taken by Commissioner Cabot. And the section 4 was taken by Commissioner Cordero, who is no longer on the commission. So maybe this is something we want to, right, for B, yeah. So maybe that's something we want to reassign or discuss. And then the item number 5 were taken by me. So,
Would you like me just to walk through a general overview, and then we can delve into it a little bit deeper? Does that
sure,
sound okay?
yeah,
Okay.
that would be awesome.
Okay, so the first commission that started the annual work plan was the HERE Commission, so the Human Equity Access and Relations Commission. It was really put in place by council to help guide the discussion throughout the year and kind of create parameters. Both with the HERE Commission and the Community Services Commission, it can get very broad and it's easy to take on a lot of different topics and a lot of different projects unless you have a clear kind of line of sight throughout the year. So that's the real intent behind it. Also, the commission was developed without a purpose statement or a mission. So your predecessors took the time to create those for you, and they are included in the annual work plan as a reference. With that, it was divided in the sections like Vice Chair Shea mentioned. So after I'm done with my report, I'll ask that the commissioners share kind of where your interests may lie or where you could potentially partner with our current commissioners on other projects. There are certain areas that overlap with the HERE Commission or could have potential for overlap or teamwork, which with the Brown Act can get a little sticky, so we'll just have to chat through that as we come across them. One of the items was the development of the Moon Festival. So 3A, propose a Moon Festival to be held in the Mission District due to the potential budget impact of this event. The proposal would need to be brought forward to the City Council for implementation. So currently the HERE Commission offers the San Gabriel Mental Wellness Expo. So that's a brand new event that was put forward by the commission. And staff, of course, helped the commissioners move that along. The other item that they are wanting to see happen within the next year or two is bringing back, in some shape or fashion, the birthday celebration that the city used to put on. So it's the city's birthday celebration. I don't think it would be in the same capacity where it was a whole weekend celebration and carnival in style, so much larger than even anything we put on now, even larger than Lunar New Year. So definitely not looking to go back to that scale as of now, but the recommendation was made. So if there's a way in which this Moon Festival could either work into something that the HERE Commission has, and that way it's one combined event, or with something that the Community Services Department is already offering. That's something for the Commission to consider. We do have several events happening throughout the year, and it's typically about one a month with then smaller ones scattered in between. So something to keep in mind. At the end of the work plan, there is that lineup of events, so that whole calendar of events. It typically doesn't change unless we add one here or there that's an offshoot and not an annual event, but typically all of those are offered annually unless the City Council decides that they want to add any at any point, then we would add that to that list for you. There is, of course, under 3B, the partnership and collaboration with various cultural and interfaith organizations to assist in the development and implementation of events and services, including partnering with the HERE Commission, Native American community, and interfaith groups. So that is a bit broader. It is something that the Commission's already doing through their guest speakers that come once a month. So they're not all culturally based, but at times they can be. They were looking to have a speaker on to represent Pride Month. They've had, they just finished the Native American Heritage Month video. Well, I shouldn't say they just finished. About a year ago, they finished that project. It feels like yesterday, but it wasn't. So there tends to be a lot of areas of intersectionality there. And of course, it's the same staff that assists both commissions, so it is typically an easier transition for everyone. The other items that we've kind of already touched on was the engagement survey. And so the HERE Commission put together an engagement survey. The results have already been presented to the commission. So if our commissioners here tonight would like to see those kind of simplified ones that were presented at the last meeting, I'd be happy to send that to you. And the progress made so far on a smaller survey, Commissioner or Vice or Chair Huerta was at the spring celebration event and was doing just a kind of word of mouth surveying with those questions. So I can bring those to the next commission as well as email those out to you so you have them as a reference. The next task on staff is to put that into SurveyMonkey, so it's a much quicker process and there's kind of data that can be collected behind it. So by the Surf Step event, we'll have that ready for you. One of the other items is selecting who is attending those events. So Chair Huerta was looking to have one or two commissioners at each one of the upcoming events to support the information booth, get more information out on the Community Services Commission as well as the department as a whole. So I would push that back to the commission if that's an item that you'd like to discuss tonight, and at least assign maybe the summer's worth. We do have, the flyer was included in your agenda packet, which has all of the summer lineups. It is important to note in case it hasn't been made fully aware just yet, we are combined with the Mission Playhouse, so our department involves recreation, aquatics, special events, facilities, and the entire Mission Playhouse. So it's quite a bit. It's kind of all-encompassing now. Anything arts and fun and recreation related, we are involved with. So something to keep in mind as you're looking through this work plan of working the Mission Playhouse into that loop, and that it might be beneficial to have a community services info booth or commission booth at some of the upcoming concerts at the Playhouse. The outdoor concerts is what I'm referencing to, the ones that are in the plaza. Vice Chair Shea has been working on the translation program, the volunteer program for translation services. The holdup is on my end, so I apologize. We should have that finalized within the next week or two, so I'll get back to you via email, Commissioner Shea, and we'll get that finalized. But essentially what that program was looking to do, or did you want to touch on that?
Sure. So on April 21st, I meet with Matthew, discuss about the internship translation program. Potentially, we're gonna have 2 to 3 positions, and then the students will come in person at the city facility to help every other Tuesday or so, maybe for term-wise, so probably a year long. And then Matthew will work with Jackie to work on the guidelines and job content details, and that's what he's referring to, that he's gonna get back to me later. And then on my side, I'm probably gonna supervise the Chinese translation, and then the city staff will supervise the Spanish translation. And right now, we don't have anybody who can supervise the Vietnamese side, so we're not going to have a student who's gonna do the Vietnamese translation, just because we don't have anybody who to proofread those translations later. We will do that later if we have anybody who's capable to do so. And then I have a recommendation that if our commission can provide the certificates for the students who is willing to participate in this program, because since they're doing this voluntarily and then it's gonna be a year long, and they have a commitment for every other Tuesday and to help us translate those city staffs. So I wanna see if after they finish certain hours, and we can, whole commission as a whole, we can present them some kind of certificate to recognize them for the hard work they put in, and also encourage more students to participate in the future. And that's about it.
I do have a question, Vice Chair. Now, you said you got volunteers from the high school?
We're aiming to get the students from the high school, local high school. St. Gabriel will be the priority.
Okay. Then my other question is, when you say they're meeting, what are they translating? Things for the city? What is it you're having them translate?
Maybe Matthew can answer that question.
Yeah.
Sure. So just a quick reminder to speak into the mics. I know there's not a lot of people here, but what you hear and hear also picks up onto the streaming.
So my question is, what is it that we're having them translate?
Right. So the translations can go anywhere from the flyers for special events to our Grapevine Press for our seniors, to assistance with just general informational brochures. So it'll kind of span the gamut. We're really good, or at least we're getting better at doing the translation for special events, because it can be kind of smushed down into a paragraph versus something like a resource may take a bit more. That also costs a bit more to translate something that's bulkier. So that's where we're looking for some help from the volunteers.
Well, I did notice that in the latest grapevine that came out, there were different languages. Is that where you're getting it from?
So that one was sent out through a third party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so each time we send that out to a third party, it is a cost back to the city at this time.
Well, I agree with Vice Chair that a certificate is the least we could do
Mhm.
for them. If they're going to spend some time doing that for us as a volunteer.
And any other commissioners has anything to report about the annual work plan?
Not a whole lot to report, but I will report a little bit. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we did Matthew was involved with this. We sent letters to, we didn't send them to the county, we just sent them to the state, and to, who else did we send it to? We sent it to two. Oh, we sent it to the state people, yeah. We sent it to the senator and the, Senator Rubio and Representative Fang. And we didn't hear back. However, council members Dang and Wu had taken the state treasurer on a visitation of the pool, hoping that would influence her. But she said last month there's no money for pool work. I think a lot of cities are requesting money for pool improvement. What we do need to do is we need to apply for funds from the county. Supervisor Hilda Solis is an excellent resource, and they just put a huge new pool facility into El Monte, which was funded by the county supervisors. So there is money there. We just have to find it, and we have to tap into it, and it may take us a while. This was a learning process for us, as Matt knows, finding out who we contacted and what were our deadlines. Now we know some deadlines, and it's not, they aren't requiring a lot. They're just asking us to send a letter with what our needs are. And now that Mark has done that, now we can probably reuse that same request. So we'll keep working on that. That's going to take a while. That's more than just 1 year on that. As I stated before, if we can't get the entire fund in one lump sum, which is wishful thinking, we just hold it. If we get any funds, we'll hold it and keep tacking it on until we can improve the pool. I don't know what you guys feel about, I know there's repairs that need to be done on the pool. Is there a general fund that works with that at all?
Yeah, so the general fund will always, for the most part, pick up any immediate repairs that need to happen.
'Cause I know it's just a Band-Aid, but
Correct. So there are times when our parks manager gets creative and is able to kind of extend the life of items that we have, and then there's just a certain point where it's beyond a Band-Aid and needs a complete repair, which they are working on. So we'll get through the summer, we'll get through the next few months beyond that, and we kind of play it month by month. And so as other equipment like the lifeguard tower that needs to like steps need to be replaced and the platform needs to be replaced. So we're doing things like that until a larger project happens.
did they replace the dividers for the, when they have the swim meets? Because I know those were deteriorating.
Yes, so those need replacement as well as the tarps need to be replaced. So those are kind of the tarps alone are quite costly. So that'll probably be in the next batch of items that need to be done.
I have another question. You may not be able to answer this. Do you keep your thumb on the different grants? I know we've done it in the past, and we came close, but we didn't get there. Do you still get information on grants that are available for us to try to achieve?
We do. I know Rebecca receives a lot more than I do, and she does her best to read through them. I think where we run into the issue is time to try and
Yes.
sort through them. You flag it in your email, and then you try. By the time you get around to reading through all of it, sometimes it's past that deadline. So we do our best to try and get through them in a timely manner, though.
I know, and writing those grants is not an easy task.
Mhm.
First, you have to find them, and then you have to apply for them. And I appreciate how busy she is. She's just takes on, as you all do. So that's about all I have to report at the pool, which is really not much. We're trying, but it's not moving very fast. It's a huge, huge topic. My fear also is we may have missed the boat with the state because last year they had an excess of discretionary funding. I think Alhambra took most of it. They did.
Yeah.
They got the biggest chunk they've ever gotten, anybody's ever gotten in the state. So this year they're saying the discretionary funding is much more limited. So we can ask. That's all we can do is I think we should just keep asking every year for state and county, and I don't see any reason not to contact Representative Judy Chu and say, hey, we need this as well. All they can say is no, and if we keep asking, maybe they'll get the hint we need that. So that's on the pool, and then I have also, I guess I'll be taking over. I was working with Kathy Cadero for number 4 on the parks and enhancement, et cetera. Also, I was working on the Moon Festival, so let me touch under that. I haven't really done much on the Moon Festival. Councilman Ding approached me last year and said he really wanted to have a Moon Festival. I know Temple City has a huge one. I think that we have so much going on in our city, and I mentioned this to him. I said, if we're going to do a Moon Festival, it's going to have to be a static date because the Moon Festival is different every year. And I don't think it can be big. It just needs to be a small half-day something because we just have stretched our staff to the limit with all the activities we have. So I want to tap into Vice Chair Ting on that as well because I don't know much about the Moon Festival. To be honest, the people that I knew that I asked them one year, I said, what do you do the Moon Festival? And they said, oh, we'd take a thermos of hot chocolate and we sit outside and look at the moon. Well, I think we can do more than that. But we'll have to proceed on that. And then the last thing is 4, that would be with the park. I know that one of our new commissioners, sorry, what's your last name, Barantis? Okay. I know you had mentioned an interest in working with the parks, possibly for special needs, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, you might want to consider helping us work on that.
Yeah.
Okay. The big thing that was involved with that was the vets. And we told them no, which made them very angry. And now they're going to the council tomorrow, although it's not on the agenda. So I guess we'll just leave that as is, because we told them no, and they have to move on. So we'll see what else we can do with parks, and possibly a new commissioner can help us work with that. That's all I have.
So like right now, we have 5 sections, right? Existing ones that we worked with previous commissioners. And since we have 2 new commissioners, should we have them like suggest their ideas and put in the working plan, or how does it work?
Sure. So as much as I would love for the 2 new commissioners to have the input, we would have to continue with this one until the end of 2023. But there may be areas that are of interest to the 2 new commissioners, whether they're assisting one of the existing commissioners on the area that they've signed up for, or there is that, I think the 4th, 5th area that is kind of with everyone, that could, get some input on those.
Well, and may I just ask, I don't think it's cut and dried that it just has to be one person, I'm going to be doing this. We agreed at the beginning that we would all share and work ideas, so I think that's important to remember too. And invite different ideas, for sure.
Right. Okay. So when are we going to do the new plan for next year?
So we'll typically start working on that in October. So at the October meeting, I'll be looking for the ideas and brainstorming. Then the November meeting, we'll come back with the draft work plan. Assuming there's no further edits, it can get adopted that night and then presented to council thereafter. But typically, it'll take the November meeting with edits. Depending on how the December meeting falls, I would assume we'll move forward with the December meeting, then it'll likely get adopted in December.
Okay. So just for 2 new commissioners, just you take those couple months to think about what you would like to bring to the commission or what want the department to work on next year. And for now, just whichever that you two feel like you are interested to work on or assist with, feel free to join those groups.
So thank you so much for the updates on capital plan, improvements of the swimming pool. Swimming pool is a very important resource, especially during the summer for San Gabriel Valley. So that's something that is near and dear to my heart as well. One question for you was to sort of, can you elaborate? Do we make the decision now on what parts of the work plan we should be volunteering for up until October? Or let me actually go back on that. So which items we should volunteer for up until December? Because in October is when the work plan comes out for the following year.
Correct, yeah, this meeting would be great to start that.
Okay. So in terms of, I mean, these are all wonderful things. It's a great work plan. Thank you for putting that together last year. It sounds like for the Moon Festival, maybe there's a thumbtack as to whether or not that happens. I agree with Commissioner that, you know, looking at the summer's schedule, it's like kitchen sink worth of events. And I noticed that some events weren't even on here, including the summer programs for kids, right? Which is also a lot of planning, plus all the swimming activities that happen during the summer too. So it's a lot of work. Do we want to table that item until we get more direction from the council in regards to the budget impact for the Lunar New Year Festival? So the Lunar New Year Festival, and you know, I'm not an expert on it, but it is one of the largest holidays for certain communities. It's a time for families to gather. For some communities, it's as important as the Lunar New Year Festival. So it could be a very big thing. So I would imagine that the impact would be similar to what we put on for the Lunar New Year, which is a lot. So that's one question. Should we hold on to that idea, or should we just assume that because it's part of the work plan that was approved, that we should be voting whether or not we want to volunteer for that? Because it seems to me that that in particular would need the most support, because Lunar New Year is coming, the Moon Festival is coming up August or September. I don't know the exact dates.
And sounds like right now we're just at the concept stage of those programs. So even we're going to do a lunar moon festival, it's probably gonna be next year or the year after. And also, I think from the previous meeting we had, it sounds like whatever we have on the plan is good for us to be complete in the year. But if anything, we can push to the next year or maybe canceled in the future. If I'm correct.
Yes, that's correct. The work plan isn't intended to where you have to complete everything within that year. There are items, for example, the Moon Festival, if the commission decided to remove it from the work plan at any given point, you could choose to do so. Or if you are waiting for further direction from council as they're working through their budget discussion, this could be something that informs their decision as well. So if you are looking for something at the same scale as Lunar New Year, that's probably something that the commission or that the council would like to know. But if you're thinking something on the scale of Dia de los Muertos, where it's just in the Mission Playhouse, then that would also be helpful to know, because then there's a lot less resources and just overall money going towards something like that.
May I make a comment on this? Regarding the Moon Festival, again, if we have so many big celebrations in this town, and people forget that it's costly for us, and we have to engage a lot of staff to do that. So my concern is to put on a big celebration would be a big burden for the staff that we already have. I would be leaning, but it's just my opinion, I would be leaning more toward just a one-day thing like we have at the Mission, until we get more understanding of what's needed. But with all the money that we spend on these other celebrations and all the staff that we put in charge of it, it's a lot to ask. So I would be reluctant to offer to do a large scale celebration of that. Not that I'm against it, I just think that we do an awful lot already, and I don't want to put another burden on commission. But that's something we can consider. And again, we need to remember, this is just an outline, like Matt said. It's not cut and dried. It doesn't mean we have to do this. We can take things out and wait for another year. This is just some guidelines for us to give us some guidance. Okay.
So would you suggest to remove it from the work plan?
I don't think we need to remove it. I just think we need to consider the size, mostly because of all the things we have going on. We have more going on in our little town than anybody else around here. Honestly, we do. And people don't stop to think how much work it is for our commission staff. It's a lot. They have to set up and take down, and they're there from morning till night. So that's a big concern for me if we're adding another festival of some kind. Let's keep it moderate size. If it's very successful, then down the road we could expand it. But I think we need to start out small on this.
I had a question. For all these points here, 1 through 5, is there a some kind of itemized list of what's been done, the cost analysis, required staff needed to make these events happen? That we can, as a new commissioner, we can look back on and see exactly what's been done and what's going on and what's in the works.
Sure. So there isn't an itemized list of things that have been done. The majority of the items on here don't require any funds. If it is something as you're working through it that does require city funds outside of what the department can absorb, that particular item would just go to council on its own to request the additional funding at that time.
So,
But so far, nothing has been delved deep enough to where a request would need to be made.
okay.
And there's a section in the back where it says fiscal impact. Those are the major things that probably need some money approved by the city council. And as far as the progress of this whole plan, I will say, for like item 1A, have an information booth. That's something we already have. At the last Easter event, Egg Hunt, we had that booth, and me and Chair Horta were over there providing some information for the community. And then item 1C, as I already updated, that we're working on the detailed guidelines. And moving down, for item 4, I think 4I, about the Smith Park pool that Commissioner Cabot had already updated that they're still working on to get the funds to get our pool remodeled.
Like that, for example, what's an example of the funds? Like what are you looking at to get? How much are you looking to get? How much is it going to cost?
Well, when we requested funds to do an entirely new pool and a pool house, like scrap everything that we have there now and put everything new, that would be our dream. We've targeted $6 million for that, and we asked the state senator and representative, and we haven't heard back. But I don't think we're going to. If we get anything, it won't be up to $6 million. That's why I'm suggesting we reach out to these other entities and ask for discretionary funding. It's out there. We just have to discover where it is and convince them we need that. The other option is, like Matt mentioned, we kind of put a Band-Aid on things in the meantime, because this pool is used so much, and it's an important part of the city. In fact, Monterey Park has been using it while their pool is being upgraded, and the high school uses it as well. So it gets a lot of use. We really need to upgrade that pool, but it's not a cheap thing. $6 million is what we'd like to do. That would be redoing the whole thing. Just flatten it out and put a new one. And I think that we might still try that, but we'll take what we can get. We've been working on it this year, and Fiona Moss, is that the secretary of yeah, controller. She said no money for pools, so I guess that.
essentially, the goal is to secure funding and then kind of develop the project based off of how much funding would be available.
Okay, so there's no like idea of what we're trying to reach, we're just trying to get what we can and go from there.
Correct.
At this point, yes.
Do we know how much we would need to do some upkeep on the pool at this time? Since we know 6 million would give us a brand new, but obviously, you know.
You know, we applied for 2 grants the last 3 years prior to this, and we came in like second, which doesn't help us a bit. And I'm not sure how much those were for.
So those were for 8 million,
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't
and
No,
that we
get
didn't
it, no.
receive.
So right now, basically for the patching of the pool, they're basically
that's
using the
what he's asking.
city funds already. But they don't have extra money to like do a completely brand new pool, which we desperately needed because the pool condition is really bad. But normally those things will be coming from the city funds. If
Okay.
our city is
Yeah.
doing good enough.
Okay,
But
so that's,
right now we're not at that stage.
Yeah. We don't have a set price that we need to for fix and repair. We're kind of doing it as we need it.
Correct.
So right now they're doing the city budget process, so that we can see how much they're allocating for the, I think there will be like recreation.
It would be specific, so it would be a capital improvement project specific for the pool, and there'll be a line item of funds that would be allocated to that should council decide to push money that way.
Right, and then we can see how much they actually allocated for this part, but for what we have heard that we are not getting that much, so that's why as commissioners, we're trying to see if there are other opportunity or approach we can take to get some money for our
okay,
city.
do we have a documentation on what routes we've already tried and who we contacted? Matt would,
So I can definitely connect you with them.
okay, no problem.
And any other questions?
Well, to get back to the original idea about assigning these various parts of the work plan to the 2 new commissioners, I would say that I could volunteer for item number 2, which is to connect the entire community to enhance quality of life. I believe Commissioner Ting said that she,
Chair Horta is actually.
Chair Horta.
Yeah, she's part of this, and then you can definitely work. I think she will be happy to have you working with her together on this, and then I think she will be here on the next meeting and discuss further on this. Or you have any ideas that you wanted to bring up tonight?
I'm just being mindful of time, and sort of making sure that we move along in terms of the agenda. I don't have any immediate ideas. We'll love to hear more from Chair Huerta about, what her thoughts are and how far along she's come in terms of planning for some of these healthcare service providers to come and, advertise their healthcare services. Certainly seems worthwhile to explore more programming south San Gabriel, because it does seem like it's a part of that city that's south of Valley where it's a little bit left out to itself, and it'd be great to be able to engage that part of the community as well. So all good things, and I'm curious to hear what she has to say, and I'm excited to get started.
Yeah, sounds good. And I totally agree that South of San Gabriel will need a lot of attention. And I think Chair Horta has already connected with a Hero question. She reported a few meetings back. But definitely you can reach out to her and see what we have done so far. And any other questions?
I would just like to say that, as the commissioner had mentioned, number 4 with the parks, that's something I'd definitely be interested in volunteering for. And also 5, I've done a lot of outreach with the county, so that's kind of something I'm kind of used to. And I'm in IT, so social media is a given for me. So just letting that be known, 4 and 5.
Sounds good. And then section 5, I'm currently working on it. Not much progress, but yeah, we can discuss it further. And then moving on to section 5, the survey data. Matthew, you mentioned that you have it ready, or it's still in progress?
The one for That the commission just approved? Yeah, so that is, those questions were approved at the last meeting. I just need to input them into SurveyMonkey. And then starting the Surf's Up event, then that can start being input. Vice Chair Huerta, or excuse me, Chair Huerta was doing just face-to-face interaction at the spring celebration to start the conversation.
Right, yeah. So I see on the event calendar, we have, in June, we have Surf's Up, those concerts, and July, we have the 4th of July parade. In August, we have National Night Out. Will we have a booth for the commissioner?
Yes, so it would be shared with the city staff information booth. That way you can tag team with the staff on any questions that, general questions that they may have about programming. And then the commissioners would be able to facilitate the survey as well as provide more information on the commission and have that face-to-face interaction to get feedback even beyond just the survey.
Right, and then hopefully we'll have the SurveyMonkey ready by that time.
Yes, it'll definitely be ready by then.
Okay, and will we have some paper printed survey as well?
I can if you would like to have some printed.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hope if we can have some. And so we're probably gonna have two staff, two commissioners at the three of those events. Or can we be part of those summer in St. Gabriel events schedule as well?
Correct. Yeah. So if you reference the flyer, the summer 2023 summer flyer, I'd recommend that the commission just goes down that list. That's everything that our department's offering, with the exception of National Night Out. We will have a booth. We typically do the crafts and the kids section for National Night Out. But if the commission wanted to have a booth, I would just request one from PD.
Yeah, that would be good. I think. Should we do a? Should we decide who's gonna be sitting at those events tonight?
That would be great.
Okay. So the first one will be June 22 Surf's Up event. Any of the what that will be at in the evening, right?
Correct.
And all those summer concerts, I think it will be okay. Yeah, we have the time here. Any of the commissioners interested to staff the booth?
I can attempt to staff the booth if there will be staff attending as well. As a co-anchor, I'd be happy to go.
Definitely, we're gonna have two commissioners, so you won't be alone.
Yeah, I can do that.
Did we want to just start with Surf's Up? Is there anyone that would be interested in that particular event? Which would be June 22nd, 6 to 9:30?
Correct. So I would be volunteer for the Surf's Up event on June 22nd.
Excellent. Is there a second commissioner?
Yeah, I can volunteer.
Excellent.
And I'm probably gonna be around and just check you guys up if you need anything.
And then the concert on June 29th will be over at the Mission Playhouse. And just as a note, we do have a typically different demographic that attends the events over at the Mission Playhouse versus the demographic that attends the summer concerts and movies in the park. So that might be a good way to collect different data from different populations.
Yeah, you'll be getting an older crowd for that. There's nothing wrong with that. I love the jazz concerts. Those are my favorite. But you might have better luck getting people to sign out the forms because they don't have to worry about kids they're tackling.
Right.
You know what? I actually cannot do that one. I thought that was a Friday.
For Surf's Up?
Yes.
Okay. Did we have someone that wanted to, maybe Vice Chair Shea?
Yeah, I can be there. And then anybody else want to be there, feel free to go, and then I can just be hanging around in the street. Okay.
I will be there that evening, so if we want to switch off,
Okay, yeah.
he has to sit there all night, that would be fine.
Yeah, I actually won't be in the area at that time, so I completely forgot I had prior engagement. So I looked at the date, I was like, wait a minute.
No
Yeah.
problem.
So maybe, since we have a lot of events following up, maybe we do like a survey on the emails and then we can
Sure.
fill it up later.
Yeah.
And that way we can see who's interested and then we can assign those events more. Okay.
Perfect.
That's a good idea.
But then moving to the July 4th parade, that sounds like something that everybody need to go, no?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So typically, between the CS and the Hair Commission, we invite you to serve as judges for the parade. So there's a variety of different categories in which you rate the participants on, whether it's the most patriotic or the most, exciting. I don't remember them off the top of my head. Maybe you do.
There's some, it's a lot of fun. I've judged it like every year been on. And it's kind of overwhelming the first time we tried to do it as it went by. But did George help last time? I think he did, from the Hear Commission. Yeah,
I think so, yeah. I was taking videos, so I wasn't able to judge.
Yeah, we had 2 from the Hear Commission as well. But what we do, if you're at all interested, we go around and look at the kids before the parade. And they will have their numbers on. And if we're interested, we kind of ask them their name and we write down. And then we compare what we think is the best of, there's different categories,
Mhm.
quite a few. Most patriotic, funniest, pet, whatever. And then by the time they actually get to Smith Park, we've determined who the winners are. You knew what happened last year about Stephanie's.
Oh, yes,
This was-
unfortunately.
yeah, but she didn't care. This was a cute story. She was very quiet. We couldn't understand her name. We thought she said Stephanie, and it was actually Daphne, and it was Councilman Wu's daughter. So we had it signed as Stephanie, and she took it. And I said to John, I said, we'll give her one with her name. And he said, no, she just crossed it off and put hers on there. So, but it's a nice event, and I don't mind working on that one either.
Okay, so just let's put all the events on the email we're gonna send out, and so everybody can put their names up there.
Perfect, not a problem.
And then, and as for the sign up of the parade, do we have the form ready?
Yes, the form is live. Adrian and Danielle in our office will be taking the lead on that this year, and we're very fortunate to have them. So everything is on the website. The registration packet for the parade is on there. If you're interested in hosting a community group that's interested in hosting a community booth, then we can send them that separate application as well.
Perfect. I'm gonna share it, and then just anybody that who's interested, feel free to have them signed up. And last year, I remember there's a group that's literally a block of neighbors that they just organized that group, and that was really nice.
So it can just be anyone?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can just be like, which street? Like the block of 39. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just fun.
Mhm.
I don't think I have more questions. Let's move forward. Okay, monthly department report. Staff will present the monthly department report pertaining to departmental programming.
Excellent. So I'll start off with kind of where we're at with trainings and staff engagement. We just offered a full-time with our permanent part-time staff training and team building. So we brought out an external person to present on mindfulness and kind of the work-life balance. It can be challenging for people in our field to turn it off. So it's important that people take the time so that way we're producing what we should be while still maintaining that balance and not getting burned out to the point where you aren't producing. So as much as it's for them, it's for the city's benefit that we're providing things like this. And they seem to respond pretty well to that. With that, we had a variety of team building exercises. Since we have had some new people enter our department and since the divisions are now one department, it's important that both divisions get to know each other and intermingle, so that way we have a better working relationship and our production levels increase as well. So that was something that was brand new for us, and we were thrilled to offer that. We have offered an LGBTQ plus 101 DEI training for both our full-time and part-time staff. So that was offered in conjunction with Equality California. So that was fairly recent. And then we have our part-time in service, which will be the first time in recent years at least, that we've combined all of our part-time staff, so it'll be our aquatics, recreation, and our day camp staff all at one time, getting to do team building exercises, have the general expectations. The upsides of having 2 vacant supervisor positions is that I'm overseeing all of that, and they get one clear line of thought. And so it is the silver lining is that it is a good way to combine all of those staff and make sure that we can fill in any gaps as needed. Lunch will be provided for them, and then they'll break off into their separate planning groups. So we're really trying to focus on the upcoming fiscal years of training our staff and making sure that they're staying engaged and appreciated for all of the hard work and effort that they're putting in, and that it doesn't go unnoticed. With that said, the things that we have upcoming would be our Summer in San Gabriel series, so everything that we've gone over today, from our summer concerts, our movies, to Art in the Park, and of course Surf's Up, and the Kids Day and 4th of July parade. Some of accomplishments so far for our older adults is we partnered with the YWCA of San Gabriel Valley to put on the YW Mart, and by partner I mean we took registration and opened up our facility. They, for the most part, did the rest. We were fortunate to have them select us as one of the cities that they partnered with on this. They provided a variety of fresh produce, from onions to cucumbers to tomatoes, fruit of all different kinds, as well as freshly baked artisanal breads and candied peanuts. So they really tried to make it extra special for the seniors, and we're extremely grateful. About 120 seniors were served for this event, and they were able to fill up I think more than fill one of those reusable bags that you would get at Trader Joe's or Albertsons. So the seniors seemed very appreciative, and it was another way to engage them and provide that food stability. For our classes, we have 2 upcoming specialty camps. It's through Playwell Technologies and Crayola Imagine Arts Academy. We've offered camps with them in the past, but they'll be refreshed and revamped this year, and we haven't offered them about 3 years through Playwell, so we're happy to be bringing that back. For the special events, like I mentioned, we do have Surf's Up coming up on June 22nd. We were fortunate enough to have the Chamber of Commerce join us this year. They haven't been with us in quite some time, so we're thrilled to have them joining to host the Beer and Wine Garden. We'll have the Kids Zone, community booths, as well as a live entertainment by Woody and the Longboards, and a Polynesian dance and poi performance. So if you're interested in helping with any of those, feel free to let us know, or if you have any further questions, feel free to let us know. But we're thrilled to continue the progress. I apologize if my response time is not quite up to par in the upcoming months, but if you need anything, you're welcome to shoot me a text or email, and hopefully I'll get back to you in one of those methods. But if you have any questions on the report, feel free to let me know.
Thank you. Does any commission member have factual questions for staff to clarify the report?
I just wanted to ask if there's an actual report we can see of what you just talked over.
It's on the memorandum, monthly department report, but the 2 staff training that he mentioned was not on it.
Correct.
And I think that's about it, right?
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And
So-
any other questions?
So basically, the only thing that you would need us to do is if we have the information table for the Surf's Up, right? That's the only thing you need us for that, yeah. Excellent.
In terms of a departmental report, do you ever provide a readout of how events have been received? How many community members participate in the events, et cetera?
We do. So typically in this monthly departmental report, we'll include a blurb that will have the approximate attendance, what was included at the event. Similar to how we did for the older adults, where we notated that there's the 120 people that were included, the date of the event, and what all the event entailed. Should be the very last page in your packet.
So one thing, and I think I sort of raised this point earlier in terms of all the work that the department does, is, it also you provide a very important service during the summer, which is to provide childcare to families in San Gabriel and elsewhere, as well as the swimming program. So since this is, I believe, the first meeting since that registration opened up, could we maybe, put on the agenda for the next meeting, sort of, what the turnout was, what was some of the feedback, items for improvement, or items where, sort of, we think that we did a very good job in terms of getting the community engaged?
Sure. If you'd like, we can provide that verbal report now, and we can also include some more details in the next report.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we have opened up registration for both classes, our aquatic classes, so our Learn to Swim classes, and our day camp program. So we staggered them this year, which worked well in the fact that staff weren't quite as overwhelmed, and you can focus on one registration at a time. So that was a positive on the staff end. As far as registration was received, we did have some feedback from the community on our aquatics, since it is in person only. We do have some setbacks in the way that our system functions, because it limits the amount of, or it doesn't have the ability to limit the amount of classes that someone can register for. For example, there's 5 cycles throughout the summer. The way we operate our swim classes is you can only register for 1 cycle at a time, to allow the most amount of people to register and take a swim class. Our system doesn't allow you to do that. So if I put it for online registration, then anyone could register for all 5 cycles, and beyond that, different time slots within those cycles, and take up a large chunk of what could otherwise be set aside for the community. So we're still looking at ways in which we can work around that. We've tried a variety of different ways, but that's the best that we've been able to do so far. On our department agenda between Rebecca and I, we're looking at different software, so that'll certainly be one of the items that we look at as we're delving into that. It is a costly endeavor, and we would like to be fully staffed before we jump into something like that, since it takes a lot of changes on the staff end. But that is on the docket within the next couple of fiscal years to take care of that.
I just want to follow up on Commissioner Dong. Usually at our commission meetings, Matthew does give us a complete rundown of all the activities throughout, and who's registered, and how many people we served, and how many kids we served. There just wasn't anything else on here except to put on here, except the senior one. But throughout the year, you'll see where they put, okay, this many kids attended after-school program and the different schools. So they're very good about letting us know that.
And then for the aquatics, the registration, we never have any issues with lack of interest. Where we have seen a decline this summer as far as registration for aquatics is in the upper divisions. So that means it's been declining over the years, but it's a clear indication that we need to redirect our efforts to those lower levels, so jellyfish, level 1, as well as the tadpoles, and the other younger class, which I can't remember off the top of my head, my apologies, and the Me and My Shadow, which is the Mommy and Me class. So that's something that we can look at as we're building the course schedule for next summer. As far as the day camp is concerned, we had a max registration at 70 for the summer, and that filled up within, most of the weeks filled up within the first day, which was unheard of for us. 70 was already the largest that the city had offered. And then by the next couple days, every single week was full. So luckily we were doing a really good job of recruiting recreation leaders, and so we were able to up that to 90. So now there's only a few remaining weeks that have additional space, which we're thrilled about. We like to see that. It also helps us offset our expenditures. For our day camp program, it's one of the few programs where it should be a wash, essentially. So all of the revenue that's brought in should be covering any of the trips that the children are going on, any supplies, staffing costs as well, and it shouldn't be anything coming out of city funds to pay for something like that. Of course, there's the full-time staff that isn't accounted in that, but any of the part-time staff. So we try to get very creative to come up with low cost, but still just as impactful or even more impactful activities for them. That is the other program that we're offering. The one training that I didn't mention was our aquatics training, which we hosted on Sunday. So that was our very first in-service. We have quite a few new lifeguards. The city has put forward some funds to get more of our staff WSI, which is Water Safety Instructor certified, so that way we can offer more lessons. So historically, we've put that back on our staff to secure those, both the lifeguard and the WSI certifications on their own. But we've gotten to the point where the need is so high that it warrants the city paying for those certifications. So likely within the next week or two, we'll be sending additional staff for that training. Don't know if there were any other programs that I missed off the top of my head, but by the end of summer, you'll have a full recap of summer as well, which will have all of the nitty-gritty details outlining what's been offered, and I'll likely bring all of our full-time staff to present their individual programs, and they can offer more in-depth discussion on that.
Just one comment about that. It's, you know, I commend the city of San Gabriel for keeping both the day camp and the aquatics program so affordable relative to almost anything else you could find in Pasadena. It's extremely affordable. And as a result, there's a lot of interest in the day camps and the aquatics programs, which results in a lot of community interest, which results in a lot of long lines. If we can find a way to connect with maybe the other cities to see how they do with online registration, that would really help out working parents from having to line up in front of the rec center. And then sort of queue in to the rec room to then like wait and hopefully find a spot for jellyfish, because it's, you know, younger kids, they need the swim lessons because it's so important for safety reasons for them to be water proficient, you know. For the day camps, you know, certainly again, it's so affordable and it's so all-inclusive, right? You've got swim on Wednesdays, on Fridays, you've got events outside of the city, which is wonderful. Certainly one question that comes to mind from a legal standpoint is, you know, if you have the kids walking from the elementary school in the middle of the afternoon, 1 mile to get to the pool during the summer, certainly this year has been a lot cooler than recent memory, which is wonderful. But sort of think about the logistics around that. I don't know if it's the program is being put up by the city of San Gabriel or if it's being contracted out to an after-school day camp provider. But sort of more sort of thought put into how we can, A, you know, make it so it's easier for community members to register for these programs, and then B, think through safety, you know, for the children who are attending the programs.
Most definitely. I appreciate the feedback, and we've definitely seen the large impact and the long lines, and so we've come up with some ideas for especially aquatics that we're able to implement the following week for day camp, such as a queuing system. But that was successful, it was helpful, but I still don't think it's quite the answer to especially our aquatics demand. So staff have come up with some other really creative ideas before we get to the new software component, kind of to fill that, to bridge the gap. And then to answer your question about our day camp program, it is offered directly by city staff currently, so it's not something that we contract out, same with our after-school program. But certainly the Wednesday walk from Coolidge to Smith has been a concern for some parents. So we do offer the stay back option. We don't currently have any busing at the moment, but we can certainly look at that, not necessarily for this summer, but for future summers.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to comment for back to aquatics as well, because when I first saw it on the registration paper to sign up, it said in person. I was like, why can't you do this online? Immediately was my first thought, but I was like, okay, I'll go in on that day. I worked from home that day, so I was good. I was like, okay, I'll go on my break at 10. Bad idea. I guess people wait there at 6 a.m. To get that first registration. I had no idea. And just as you mentioned, like, I'm sure some of these parents probably had to take some time off just to register. So I'm just kind of wondering, the software you have, is it currently like a city application, or is it a third party?
Sure. So to give you some history and some background on this and how it compares to some of the new technology. So we've had the technology for, I want to say, almost a decade. It's called RecPro Systems. It is not cloud-based or anything like a lot of the new technologies are. It is somewhat antiquated, but for the most part, it does the job. So between our facility rentals, our classes, it does a pretty good job of meeting the needs of those other items. Where it falls short is in these particular instances. The cost that we pay annually is currently $4,400. The startup cost for a new program, such as like Civic Plus, is usually in the ballpark between like 50,000 to 70,000, and then that annual cost is typically much higher than the 4,400. So of course, your return on investment, you get a lot more for it, right? It has a lot more tools at your disposal to make everyone's life, both the customer and staff, user groups, lives a lot easier. But it does come with a cost with it, right? So we're just trying to be as smart about the change as possible, so in that way we can provide both the commission and council the reason as to why it's worth the funds at the time. So I think the commission's already brought some really great points as to why it's worth it. So hopefully, like I said, within the next fiscal year or two, we can get to that point. I don't know if that answered your question, but I hope it did.
Yeah, no, it gave me some insight, because, yeah, I don't have the backstory, but yeah, something that's 10 years old in IT it's ancient, so it should be updated, but that cost is a lot more than what you're paying now. So, yeah, I'm sure you guys are doing the research on what's out there, but yeah, definitely something online registration. I know it's a different company, Best Buy, when they were doing the PS5s, they have an actual online queue where people can go and says, okay, you're in a queue, so just wait here until it's available, and then you can go ahead and do that. Obviously, maybe that cost for that type of program might be up in that region for that new program, but it's just something I've seen, and that's something would have been nice for the aquatics, because it is so popular, really popular. So I actually today finally got called back for one of my sons to get on cycle 5. I was like, yes. I was like, where's my other son? I was like, he's next, so let's wait. So I was like, okay. But yeah, I just, there are programs out there, but yeah, just like you mentioned, probably the cost might be up there, and I don't know the cost, but the systems are out there. So
Bottom line for a lot of our things that we would like to do, it all comes down to cost. We can suggest them and we can project what we would like to do, but the bottom line, if we don't have the funds, we can't do it. We try, though, don't we?
Matthew, do we have any public comments on the action item?
We do not.
The time for public comments on this item is now closed. And does any commissioners wanted to discuss, or we can move on from it? All right. Commission reports. Each commissioner may address the Community Service Commission and the public on matters of general information or concern. This is also the time for commissioners to report on conferences and meetings they have attended. Let's start with Commissioner Cabot.
I do not have anything to report on.
All right, thank you. Should I include new commissioners?
Yes, my apologies for not including that on the screen.
Okay, Commissioner, who should be the first? Barrantes?
I have nothing.
Thank you. Commissioner Duong?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. As for myself, I went to the April 8th pancake breakfast and egg hunt event, and I was with Chair Horta at the booth, communicating with the residents, or if there's lost children, we're there to help them find their parents and answer any questions. I had a few recommendations for the event for future. First of all, it's the Easter eggs, because I know it ran out really fast. Like as soon as it starts, the eggs are basically done in 1 minute. And then there are some parents came in late with their children, and they were not able to participate in the event. And I felt really, me and both chair, we were really feeling really bad. So I wonder if in the future we can have like extra eggs at the booth, just in case there are some late children came in, and then we can give them one egg as a souvenir or something, just to make them feel good. Another recommendation is the egg hunt start all happening at the same time for different age groups. But for parents, they have like multiple children, they're at different age group, and they're kind of like they don't know where they should be at, like who should be watching their children. So in the future, I would recommend if we can spread out all those egg runs for different age. Yeah, so one after another, so it won't be so overwhelmed for those parents. And also, I would like to see if I can get a sign says I speak Chinese or something on at the booth. So some people they see the sign, they have questions they can ask me, because some people come to me and ask me if I speak Chinese, or I can help them out, or any other languages that commissioners are able to speak, and then we can put that sign there just to make it more visible, so the residents know we have this service there, and we're there to answer their questions if there are any. And on April 20th, I went to the commissioner dinner, and then Commissioner Cabot was there as well. It was really nice event, and I think it's the very first time after COVID. We had a really good time. It's at the Mission Playhouse lobby, and it was really nice setting and good food. And we appreciate the staff organized this event and also give us the awards and the recognition for what we've been doing for the last year. And thank you for that. And on April 22, I went to the American Red Cross sound alarm event organized by the American Red Cross, that we different organizations organize the volunteers at the ECLA, that we're there to help the low-income families install smoke alarms in their house, because some of the people, they don't really have smoke alarm in their house. And we were grouped into 3 or 4 people, and then one of us is explaining to them what those emergency tips, and also the importance of having a smoke alarm, and as other volunteers were installing the smoke alarms. And I think it's really meaningful event that we done. And on May 3rd, I went to the Cinco de Mayo event really quick. That's organized by our city, and it was really beautiful. I'm always looking forward to that event. I love the dance and then the concert we had, and residents were all enjoying it. I think I met Commissioner Barrantes at the event as well. And then on May 10th, I attended the Catholic Charities St. Gabriel Region 37th Annual Volunteer Recognition Dinner, where I witnessed the volunteers from St. Anthony Parish and Mission St. Gabriel getting the awards for what they have volunteered in the past year. I'm really glad I was there to witness that, and then thank for their volunteer service. And on May 21st, I went to the Art Fest event hosted by the Gabriel High School. It was pretty interesting event. I wonder if there's some collaboration we can have with them in the future. Like they have a lot of musicians and then singers. I think Jefferson Chorus, they were there, and then maybe those are some groups that we can invite to our programs in the future, like those block parties and so. And that's it for my short report.
Can I just make one more
Sure.
question? I'm glad you brought up about Easter, because it seemed like a long time ago. I knew
Right.
about it. But it was very successful. Do you have a number? I mean, there were a lot of people, like a lot.
We're estimating around 2,000 for that event. It was definitely one of the largest turnout that we've seen in recent times, yeah.
Probably because they couldn't come for a couple of years, and it was a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big turnout.
Yeah, the attendance was definitely even higher than 2019, so pre-COVID. So
Right.
I think a lot of our programs are seeing a much better turnout even before COVID. We've made a lot of positive changes, I think, to some of our programming, so I'd like to say that it's due in large part to that. But also I think it is that people are finally feeling comfortable to come out, and so they're re-engaging with their community as well on a deeper level than they did prior to the pandemic.
What kind of a response did you get at your table, information table, since it was the first time we'd ever done it?
We didn't really do the survey, to be honest. I think mostly it's just they asked us questions and then we were just
Yeah.
answering them and give them guidance on which age groups EdCon is happening at. I think by the time we were still waiting for the survey to come out, so that's why we're not really actively doing the survey. But for sure, on the next booth, we're gonna start to do that.
I really liked your suggestions that you made, and I think that they were important, because I agree, there were so many kids, and parents were wanting to know if they had 2 or 3 kids, where do we go, and they were different parts, and I like the idea that she suggested staggering the places to do it, and you're right, it's over in 30 seconds. I mean, they're ready to go. So if we could have, and then they want to get their kid to the next one and they miss out. So that's a very good idea, I think. There were a lot of people lined up for the photograph of the Easter Bunny too. My gosh, they were around the block. It was great. So it was a really good turnout. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks. Our department put up the event. It was really nice. I just was too focused on my comments, the suggestions, because I want us to do better. But definitely, we did a really good job, and then it was a great turnout, and I had really a lot of fun at the event. Yeah. And I hope you like the video I put up on Facebook about the event. Okay, moving forward. Staff comments. Staff members have the opportunity to address the commission and the public on matters of general information and concern.
So I'll end with some good news. We recently created a management assistant position within this community services department, which again will bridge that administrative gap between the Mission Playhouse and community services division, to do both the contracts and invoicing and tracking payments for the Mission Playhouse, as well as serving as the lead administrative team liaison between the leadership team and the admin team, and a variety of everything in between. And so Adrienne Franquez was previously serving as our administrative assistant too. You probably briefly saw her in here. She was promoted to the management assistant position, and we could not be more thrilled for her, and she's already doing a fantastic job and making some really positive changes in the department. That's all I have.
Okay, congratulations to Adrienne. I guess we're not gonna see her anymore over here.
You might see her on and off, but for the most part, she'll be taking the Mondays off.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, and then I just wanted, before we adjourn, I just wanted to mention that welcome our 2 new commissioners, Commissioner Barrantes and Commissioner Duong, to be part of commission, and we're excited to have you here, and then looking forward to work with you and to have productive commission meetings, and also have new, more creative programs for our city.
Thank you.
Adjournment. The next regular Community Service Commission meeting will be held on Monday, August 7, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Information regarding matters to be considered at each meeting will be available on the Friday before the Community Service Commission meeting on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com. This regular meeting is now adjourned at 7:57 p.m.